All right, this looks like it's working now. Okay, you're here for the Idiot's Guide to Public Service Loan Forgiveness, right? All right, remember, I'm the idiot. I'm not calling y'all idiots. Because if I could figure it out, y'all be good. All right. I had to do some things with this PowerPoint. We don't have plates. There's foil and then there's lids that would work. Oh, look. I was going to say, or at the very least, get some admissions cookies. Look, that's what I do. I do a Thanksgiving meal for my last one of the year. Yeah. So for everyone on the recording, tough luck for y'all. All right. I take no credit for this presentation. I stole this with permission from Sarah Donnelly, who used to be at Case Western Reserve as their financial aid director. As she's quite frankly so good at what she does, as soon as she got promoted to director, about 3 months later, another company in the private sector hired her and stole her away. So, she is darn good. Most of the stuff in here is hers. Also, for the fact that she has access to this because she's actively going through public service loan forgiveness right now. And she is actually, I guess at this point, because she went to the private sector, she will no longer qualify. But the pay bump was significant enough to justify it. Which reminds me, if any of y'all at some point go to a private practice, remember, salary negotiation. Well, if I come work for you, I'm giving up X amount of loan forgiveness. Can we work this into either my salary or as loan forgiveness from you? That is your script for that. If a private practice is offering you buku money, it's a good way to get a little bit more. Just saying. All right. So she is well on her way, and every year when she does this presentation, these numbers go up. So last time I talked to her, she was 76 payments in, recorded payments that have been given credit to her. You'll see how that all looks in a little bit. But really, really awesome lady, and does a good job. All right, here's what we're doing today. I'll give you a quick disclaimer, and then we'll do an overview. Then we'll jump into the timeline and how to handle some other things that come up, as well as to give you some of the background and everything on this. All right, the disclaimer. It is accurate as of today. Some parts of it could change, though it is unlikely. So just keep up to date on the news, and when we get to the end on some of my tips, it'll be how do you discern what is a valid source in some of these versus what is just clickbait and crap. All right, so how do you qualify? The basics, you already know this. Work for a qualifying employer. That's a nonprofit, not-for-profit, etc. Have eligible loans. None of you were in school long enough ago that you have ineligible loans. All of you have direct loans. Or at least it's a very slim chance that any of you would have what we would call a FELP loan. Those ended about the time I stopped attending or stopped doing my master's full time. So that was before most of you even thought about starting college. Make 120 on-time payments. You can't make a payment, say, in between. Like you can't make 2 payments in July. It has to have an actual bill attached. So this isn't like, oh, I can pay ahead on my 120. You can't. You've got to ride this out for 10 years. Sorry. We've tried to talk them into it because, hey, in your first year, you could be like, hey, I made 120 $0 payments. Great, get my loans. They are not going to get behind that. No, you can go back in. Yeah. And then hopefully you pocketed that extra pay from private practice too. Those $0 payments count. I'll show you that in a little bit in a statement we actually got from the Department of Ed. Yep. All right. Started back in 2007 as part of the College Cost Reduction and Access Act. You know, these congressmen like to have really long names on all of their bills. Basically, they made a whole bunch of changes in financial aid. That, by the way, is also the last time there was any stab taken at a reauthorization of the Higher Ed Act, which is where all of your money comes from. Since then, they've been doing everything by continuing resolution, which means we are a good 12 years overdue for a reauthorization. I guess they've been busy. Numbers that I pulled as of yesterday. There have been over 100,000 people who got their loans forgiven as of this point, as of the end of February, really. What we saw at the beginning, which is where you probably saw a lot of the really disparaging news articles about it, is a lot of people were applying and not qualifying for repayment because, one, they had those loans that didn't qualify. They had FFELP loans like I did. They had the wrong repayment plan. They were an extended repayment or standard repayment or something like that. Or they simply, the most common reason for denial was that they actually applied too early. They were at 119 and they were like, oh, I'll do this paperwork. And so then their application got denied and they're like, oh, this is crap. And then they get all upset. But then they go and apply again. It's like, okay, we're good now. Guess I got all upset over nothing. By the way, the amount forgiven now is $7 billion with a B through this program. When I first started doing this presentation a few years ago, we were barely at 50 million because that was the first rounds of approval. You know, we didn't start seeing anyone actually get approval until 2017. That was, you know, when you hit 10 years after the implementation of the bill. You know, now we're at 7 billion. So it's working, y'all. The program actually works. I'm hesitant to say that about anything coming from the government, but it actually seems to be working. All right. So now you're going to get your phones out. You're going to have them out and open up your calendar app, whatever that may be, on Apple, on Outlook, on an Android, whatever that is, because you're going to put reminders on these things on your phones. And every time you see that, put this on your calendar. I tried to make it kind of as obvious as possible. Put it on your calendar. So you're graduating. By now, most of you have already checked this because we've had our meetings. But is your residency program a qualifying employer? Have you contacted them and said, hey, we're nonprofit, right? And they go, yes, we're nonprofit. You're going to qualify for public service. We know why you're asking. And again, that's a government organization. So MUSC is the one here in the state that qualifies. Or it's a nonprofit or not-for-profit. Prisma, regional, basically almost everywhere else that's not an HCA hospital or one of the other handfuls of private hospitals. Then you're going to make sure all your loans qualify. You're going to go out there. Do I have anything that says FFELP? Family or Federal Family Educational Loan Program is what FFELP stands for. If I have any of my loans that say that, guess what? The next step that we're going to do is going to take care of that and turn it into a consolidation loan because we're going to consolidate everything together. Do I have a Perkins loan? One person in your class has a Perkins loan. That program's been gone for a while. I wasn't going to call you out. Sorry. Consolidate that into your direct loans. Boom. Now it qualifies. You know, direct sub and unsub, any grad plus loans that you've got, those are all going to qualify. So you're going to just make sure everything qualifies. And if not, you're going to pay double attention when you do your consolidation application to make sure that loan is listed there because it's not currently already at the federal government. It's held by a private entity is basically what a non-qualifying loan is. So FFELP loans were held by different banks. You know, mine came through South Carolina Student Loan Corporation. Later, it was bought up by Nelnet. Perkins loans are owned by the schools that generate them because the way that program worked is they would lend out, they got seed money, they'd lend out all the seed money, and as students paid back their Perkins loans, it refilled the pot for the school to continue giving out Perkins loans. That's how that worked. And so it actually kept growing and growing throughout the whole program. Then the federal loans got better than it again, so they eliminated it, plus simplified the aid process. All right. The other thing you're going to do this month or in May is you need to download a copy of your master promissory note. And you're like, why? I haven't looked at that in 4 years since I actually signed the thing, Casey. The answer for that is that there's a clause in that promissory note that you signed that specifically lists public service loan forgiveness as an option. Y'all are about to have a lot of big changes and like moving your loans around and things like that. Heaven forbid something should get lost. That's why you keep a CYA file. So you have cover your butt. Sorry, I saw the face. You keep a file so that if someone else screws up, you're like, nah, here it is. Do you need a paper copy? I'll email it to you. And on that promissory note, it says, I think it's like clause 21, that these loans are qualify for public service loan forgiveness. That's your ticket in case they ever screw anything up. Studentaid.gov. Yep. You go to My Documents, you'll select promissory notes, and it's right there. Yep. Here it is. This is how you do it. Some of my screenshots are just a little bit old. I don't have access to this website anymore because my loans are gone. But it's, look, I am making it available. I'm also making the recording available, so you can watch it on double speed. The main thing is put the reminders in your phone when I tell you to, because when you go back and watch it, you'll be like cooking dinner, and talking to your wife, things like that. Kids will be like, talking to you specifically, kid will be like, daddy, daddy, daddy. And you'll miss like an important reminder. So. Yep, so save one of each, because they will both say that same statement, that it qualifies for public service loan forgiveness, and that is one of your repayment options. Yep. All right, so you're going to sign in. You're going to click View My Documents. You're going to filter by master promissory notes. Although you shouldn't have a ton of documents there, just filter the promissory notes and make sure you download every copy of it. And save it to a flash drive. Save it to a Dropbox. I don't care where you save it to, just somewhere that you can access it easily. And like it's all in one folder, because there's going to be other stuff you're putting in this folder down the line. All right. So another piece on the timeline. Every single promissory note. Realistically, you should only have 2, unless you for some reason we didn't get it to come in and you signed like 5 more trying to get it to come into the university. It happens. And then just save them all, just for posterity's sake. And if they're like, no, that one's not valid, well, here's the other one. Here's the other one. Never had it happen, but just in case. All right. So I would say contact your registrar or bursar to know when you're actually separated. Guess what? I'm the registrar. Your separation date should be on May 15th. That's when we update everything to show that you've actually graduated. Because right now, if you were to look, your separation date is listed as August 15th. Basically saying, it's what we do for all students, basically saying, okay, we don't know if the student actually graduated. It's more trouble for us to reinstate them if they've already been closed out of the system. No, I know y'all are graduating. You have literally done everything except in some cases show up for the last 2 days. And I know you're sitting there like while you're in class shopping houses and stuff. I sit at the back of the room for a reason. I see what y'all do. Now at this point, most of you have the houses. You're shopping furniture for the houses. I see the nodding. Anyhow, so you've basically done everything. So I'm already submitting that you have met the requirements for graduation. By now, they'd let me know if any of you had an issue. So you're good. May 15th, you should be done. Now, the grace period starts on that separation day. And you can see that statement on the bottom. This cannot be changed, and you cannot shorten or skip your grace period by law. You can consolidate your loans, which is why we do that, so that we can start your repayment early. But first things first, you have to separate from the university. Then we have to consolidate. So June 1, a little bit before your start of residency, you're going to consolidate. And this lets you start that repayment process. It's actually going to give you the option inside there. It's going to say, would you like to take your full 6-month grace period or no grace period or any of the months in between? In every single one of your cases, because of the administrative forbearance, you want to have absolutely no grace period. You want to start repayment immediately because that's an extra payment at $0 and one less payment at $2,000. Even if it's a month early, you just saved yourself $2,000. Yes, say no to the grace period. I like it. I'm going to put that on next year's presentation. Yeah, yeah. So you're gonna sign into studentaid.gov. On June 1st. Top of the screen. Sorry, I'm a little too sarcastic. All right, June 1st. Go there. Click on Manage Loans. I'm trying to point on the screen like y'all can see me. Go to Manage Loans, then click on Consolidate My Loans, and you can see there. Look, it gives you a Start button. Nope, wrong one. So phone calendar, June 1st. Consolidate your federal loans, including your Perkins loan. Yes, because it's an extra step for you. Everyone else doesn't have that step. Still, it's not difficult. And I say it includes the IDR application. IDR stands for income-driven repayment. So when you consolidate, it's going to ask you what repayment plan you want to do. I am not going to make a general statement here because I have had individual meetings with you all, and every one of you has a little bit of a different answer on that. Some of you, it's revised pay-as-you-earn. Some of you, it's pay-as-you-earn. So just remember that and apply what we said in our meeting. Yes. Then swing by my office and we'll look up your info again.
Not automatically.
No, you've got options, so they're not going to tell you which one you go into unless you do nothing, and then they put you on standard, and that's a big mistake. Yeah, swing by my office if you can't remember. We'll plug everything back in, and I'll do a quick look. General rule of thumb, this doesn't apply to everyone, but the general rule of thumb is that most single people are going to be in revised pay-as-you-earn, and most married people are going to be in pay-as-you-earn. Every married person I've looked at this year goes to pay-as-you-earn, but not every single person should be in revised pay-as-you-earn. So keep that in mind. And if you're in that boat and you still can't remember, swing back by. We'll take a look at it again. You're fine. Mm-hmm. Yep. 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 You got it. All right. So that is the second thing on your phone calendar. That big enough on the screen to remind you? All right. Next thing. So this is what the consolidation, I put that on the rock. I moved that up in the slide too much. This is what the actual slide looks like. You know, apply for the income driven. System's going to walk you through that whole process. It's super easy, y'all. I mean, super, super easy. It's like, are these your loans? Is this who you say you are? Yes, yes, it is. What's your address? Great, here it is. You want a consolidation? Okay, here's your consolidation. And what repayment plan do you want to be in? Great, give us your tax info. That's pretty much the whole thing. If you don't consolidate and you wait 6 months to start repayment, you have cost yourself around $12,000 in dollars. 12 grand. At least. Some of you it's significantly more. Some of you it's slightly less. All right. Now, you've started residency. It's your first day. Congratulations. Orientation doesn't count. It's the day that no one should go to the hospital. Because heaven help us, you are all seeing patients unattended for the first time. here's the thing. All jokes aside, I would trust you.
That's nice.
You know, maybe with an attending by your side, but still, I won't let them graduate a student that I would not want to see as a doctor. So, all right. So you're going to start work at your residency program. As you start work, you're going to have them fill out a form for you. By them fill it out, you're going to fill out 90%, you're going to have HR sign it. And basically, it's called the Employment Certification Form, the ECF. I call it the PSLF form. If you literally go to Google and type in PSLF form, this is the form that shows up. But you can also download it from your servicer. So you're also going to need to create an account with Mohila, which guess what? Has already likely been done when you consolidated. Mohila is the new servicer for federal loans that does public service loan forgiveness. In the past, it was Fed Loan Servicing. That's why if you look at the screenshots, they're all going to be Fed Loan Servicing. They haven't officially taken over yet. They will take over May 1st. That's when their contract starts. So they're going to be able to, you're going to be able to go there, set up your account, which you should do anyway when you're consolidating. And from there, you're going to download the form, you're going to fill it out, you're going to take it to HR. They're going to sign the last piece. And then you're going to upload it. Mohila is going to has a Dropbox system that allows you to upload documents. And it's going to look like this: file, upload, PSLF, make sure you're in the right folders, employment certification form. Boom, pretty easy. You're basically submitting this first one to establish upfront that all my payments for the next 12 months, even though they're $0 for most of you, are with a qualifying employer. You're basically saying, okay, this is my employer. I'm starting to work for them. So July 1st, 2022, sorry about that. Put in there, complete employment certification form. This is the first one that you need to set a repeat on it for once a year for 10 years. Why do you do that? You don't have to remember. They're not going to prompt you to do this. They may, but it's going to be an email. And how many of you check every email that we ever send you? Honest answers only. No, this is the form, employment certification form. That is the form from the last slide. This is just the, hey, open your calendar, make sure you're on track with all these things. So July 1st, 2022, repeat once a year for 10 years, after 10 occurrences, however you want to do it. Yep. Good thing. When you get new phones, which is likely to happen after 10 years, at least 3 times, at least. Some of y'all get a new iPhone every time they blink. We talk about spending later. But when you get your new iPhone, everything's going to load into it. I checked this the other day. I changed into a new iPhone and all my calendar moved.
Now, what if the phone went?
Then do it the closest day to that. It's not a hard and fast deadline. It's just right around this time. Yep. All right. This is what that form looks like. The whole first page is a little tiny block of who you are. A lot of information that I'm going to tell you up front you don't need to read. It says I am who I say I am. That's what it is. Then you get to the back of it and it's like, okay, my employer is this. Okay, they're not this, then they're this. Then it's going to start with state or federal agency, then down the line until you click the one that actually works for you. Then you take it to HR and there's literally a signature block. That's it, y'all. So then you go out, you select the reason for your upload. We're going to assume it looks just the same. And you're done for that for now. All right, so your consolidation gets approved. You're good to go there. You started repayments on July 1st, even though that payment's $0 in most cases. And you're just going to make sure that everything's in there and working fine, and that you go ahead and set up your payment, even though it's a $0 payment, on auto draft. You're going to do this up front, and they're going to draft $0 from you. And they have direct debit for this. Do direct debit. It's impossible to be late on a $0 payment, so you'll be fine on those. But starting the next year, when you have a $150 payment, do not rely on your ability to remember. Do not go, I am a responsible adult. I don't even feel that way. And I will make sure to get this in on time when all they're sending me is a reminder is an email. Y'all, I have to be reminded like 3 times to pay a doctor's bill. You're all the same way. I know because I send you emails about your tuition bills that don't get paid. So make sure that you set this up on a direct debit because a key component of those 120 payments means that it needs to be on time. Good? All right. So now you're getting into tax time next year. This isn't something for you to submit or anything like that. This is just your reminder to go out, download your 1098E. That's your student interest paid. So that you can file that on taxes and lower your tax burden, which will keep your payment down further. Good? If you're late for a payment, you have to make 121 payments if you're late for only one payment on the whole time. Yeah, it doesn't reset the whole thing or anything like that. You're not penalized that bad. It's just that late payment doesn't count. But let's be honest, if you make a late payment on one of these early payments, just like not consolidating, you've just cost yourself a couple grand. Oosh. All right. So just download this. Remember to go get this. Just like next year when you file your taxes, remember to log back into Self-Service Carolina and download your 1098T. That's your tuition form. It's the one you use to save extra money on your taxes and get educational tax credits. Be the last one you get. So put this in there. Repeat yearly for 9 occurrences in this case, because we're not doing this until February of next year. Good? Yep, you got it. And yours may not say 1098E, it could say 1098 INT. It's an older form title, but some companies still use it. It's exactly the same. The E just allows them to do more things on it, but they only use it for this. Yeah. Yep.
So
It's not the end of the world, but you paid more taxes and your payment's higher the next year than it would have been otherwise. So don't forget to do it. But if you do, of all of them, this is not the end of the world. All right. So you're 3 months prior to renewal. This is something you guys actually probably are not going to have to do. Renewals are supposed to be automatic in the income-driven repayment plans, but it's a new thing. I don't trust government with new things. So be expecting that at some point you're going to have to go back in and renew this. And so you're going to just go back out to studentaid.gov. You're going to click recertify income-driven repayment plan. You're going to go back into the same one you were in last year. That's really it. Start application, returning applicants, submit an annual recertification. Should already be changed. But again, it's government. So May 1st, if required. So if they're requiring it, if for some reason the system's not still working, I'd go ahead and put this in there to go check it. So go back in, check and make sure your plan renews automatically and that they've downloaded your taxes. Exactly. Yep. Renew, import tax data, boom, you're done. Yeah, it's not onerous if you have to do it, but it's even better if you don't have to do it. And this one's only going through 2031 simply because the last time you renew for repayment is going to be right before your last year in repayment. Studentaid.gov or whatever they're calling it in a few years from now. It literally changed names 4 times in the past 5 years. Thankfully, they bought up all the domains, so no matter which one you type in, it still takes you there. You can still go to fafsa.ed.gov and it's going to reroute you directly to studentaid.gov. fafsa.ed.gov is about 8 years old at this point. All right. So you've done all of this. You're good to go. Not Fed Loan Servicing, but Mohila in your case, they have made sure that everything is easier to find. And you log in, you click on Public Service Loan Forgiveness, Mohila is going to be doing the same exact thing. You can check your progress, gives you status updates, and you can certify your employer again. So July 1st, the next year, you're going to download all of your payment info. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. But you're also going to make sure that you're good to go, that things are counting right, that when you are 12 months in, there are 12 qualified payments listed there. Now, it may say 11 because of just a delay in processing and adding it there. Expect that. But if it says 2, then you contact them and be like, nope, here's my payment history for the past year. Let me show it to you. They were all at a qualifying employer. Fix it. And they will. They've gotten a lot better. Nowadays, it should work just fine. For the first 7 years in this program, all PSLF payments were hand counted. Yeah. And they were at all of the 5 different servicers were handling it. They realized that was a crap move, so they moved it to Fed Loan Servicing. Now, Fed Loan Servicing is like, y'all ain't paying us enough, so Mohila picked it up. All right, we'll work for less. Look, work for less in this case is still millions a year, let's be honest. So, check your status, download all your payment info, and submit a new ECF. That one's already should be in your phone. Yep. And download your other payment info and stuff. All right. So this is actually one of the newer features. You can look at each one of your loans, and it's going to tell you, hey, you have this many qualifying payments. You can actually look at this every month. Now, they are estimates if it's between a period of submitting the ECFs, the forms that you have to submit. But once you submit it, they'll certify it. So, they're like, okay, hey, you're at 55 of 120. It even gives you a nice little progress bar. And unlike the one on your phone saying this will actually be done downloading in 5 minutes, it's accurate, or should be. Y'all can ignore the temporary expansion of PSLF. That was a federal program that was helping folks who were in that original group that were in wrong repayment programs or had other issues, non-qualifying loans and things like that. And they expanded public service to accompany them, but it was a temporary thing. So ignore that. You're paying attention to PSLF. All right. And this is what it looks like. You've got your qualifying payments, and then you've got the next 5 in this case that need employment certification. So it's like, hey, you've submitted 5 payments since your last ECF. Once you submit that, we'll be good. Now, if y'all see anything that's listed as an ineligible payment, that you need to look into, unless you were in repayment sometime before starting med school. Any payments you made back then, eligible or not, don't count for your med school loans. So we're only concerned about the med school loans. That's also why some of you may have a lot of different numbers on a lot of different loans. Go with the one that has the lowest number. That's the one you're tracking and making sure it's right. All right. So now you're going to check and make sure that they've done everything right. So you're employment certified for PSLF. This is their response to you. This is where they're like, yeah, your employer did qualify. Here's a list of it. And PSLF qualifying payment update. You see it's the second item on that list. And so you download it and you save it. Everything you download goes into the CYA box or the CYA file. You also are going to download your qualifying payments. Another version of it. All right. This is where they also certify that your employer worked. They're going to submit these things at the same time because you're doing everything at the same time, y'all. Basically, download everything that's in this box every single year that you come out and check on it, the paperless inbox. Looks like this. You can also, this is how you download your actual payments, record of payments, though not just are you downloading where they've said, yeah, you have qualifying payments, you're actually just also going to download a ledger book of every payment you made. So that's why the first year it'll have a ledger book of 12 $0 payments for most of you. Second year, it'll have 12 ledger payments of $150 payments for most of you, and so on and so forth. So you're going to go there, click payment history, all export transactions, download and save it at CYA file. It's all about protecting yourself here. Government they're not going to be malicious. They're not going to try and screw you over in this program. At least I doubt they will. But government on the whole is incompetent. I say this working for a government organization. Our med school runs pretty well, but the state on a whole, not so much. They are liable to lose stuff. This is why we protect ourselves and our own information. It's just like even when you go to your home closings, you need to be looking over all the documents. Because even though you paid a lawyer to do it, they can still screw up. They tend to be better about it than the government is, but government's mostly made up of lawyers. This is what it looks like when you download it. This is actually a copy of Sarah's that she blacked out all of her payment information and her balances and stuff. This is what it looks like, y'all. And you're just downloading it and saving it. You'll probably never look at it again. So you will do this on October 1st, starting next year. So I'll go to October 1st, 2023, and set it to repeat yearly through 2032. Because that doesn't get confusing for those of us who get the numbers backwards all the time. Good. All right, I'm staying. I put down the clicker. I'm Mohila. Yep, bless you. All right, I tried to make these QR codes, but I could not find a way to do that for free. Apparently there is a way, I'm just not smart enough to do it. Still working? Okay, go ahead. Because they get up to 3 months to process. Yep. They're slow. That's why when you get to the very end, and there's a slide at the very end, it tells you that you will likely make 2 to 3 extra payments after you request public service, and then you'll get it back. Because it takes them that long to go, oh yeah, they actually qualified. All right. Now you are 120 payments from now. You're at July 1st, 2032. Some of y'all will actually be in your 30s by then, heaven help you. Some of you will be in your 40s. All right. You've made 125 payment or 120 payments, not 125, 120 payments on time. You're going to log in. You're going to click on manage repayment. And there's going to be a new option that's actually showed up about 10 payments ago, but you haven't looked because you're on auto draft. And it says loan forgiveness or request loan forgiveness. It used to be that this form was available all the time, and that's why they had all those denials at the beginning. You'd have a kid that was like fresh out of undergrad, fill out this form and submit it like, haha, I'm going to get one over on the government. But no, you just made our numbers look worse, you idiot. Sorry if that was you. But no, you submit the form, then you're going to have to wait 3 months for them to process the form because, hey, it's government. But when they process it, they're going to say, congratulations, your loans are forgiven. In a few months, you'll receive a refund check for the last 3 payments. You do have the option to stop payment when you think you're done and submit this form. My recommendation is to keep going so that just in case there was an issue and you miscounted by one, you don't have a time where they're like, no, well, guess what? You also owe us back payments for the last 3 months because they're late now. And then you owe us one more on-time payment to qualify. Just make the extra payments on time, let it keep going on auto draft, and then get the refund for it. And the refunds are actually working. I kid you not, I've had 3 friends get their loan forgiveness this year. And, none of them are doctors. So you're like, oh, Casey, their numbers are so low. They were like $10,000 and $20,000. But our masters didn't cost what y'all's MD costs. So, it works. It is working. And that's your last reminder that you need to do. It'll be July or August 2032. Confirm you're at 120 eligible payments and submit the request for actual forgiveness. And y'all, this is where we get a lot of confusion because people are like, oh, isn't my repayment PSLF? No. Your repayment is pay as you earn or revised pay as you earn. PSLF is the one thing that happens one time at the end of 120 payments in any of those other programs. Yeah. Now, is it like a private company paying towards your student loans or? That counts as taxable income for you, so you can make your payments through that and you still qualify. Now, you can't do, say, a national program like National Health Service Corps and this program. But if it's it's a deal between you and your employer, you're getting taxed on it. That qualifies. Yep. All right. Let's see what's next. Oh yeah, tips. Forgot all about the section. Tracking your documents is the most important thing you can do. It really is. Don't get 9 years in here and realize that, oh, they didn't count things right for an entire year back in the day. That's why we have these things. None of them are too onerous. I realize it looks like it probably because we're looking at it all at once, but it's like 3 things a year you've got to do. Each of them takes less than 5 minutes. 15 minutes a year. Make sure you're downloading these things. Keep copies of all of your paperwork and stay organized. In that file, just put a sub-file for each year. It's not difficult. And just keep that record. Save it. Don't lose it. It's like the most important thing you check for when you're moving. Like, okay, do we have the PSLF thumb drive? I'm not kidding y'all. Look, I've always lost a lot of stuff on moves. We still haven't found like a $50 gift card to this amazing restaurant in Columbia. No. That I can get. That's easy. You just submit like 20 bucks in a form and they send you another birth certificate. They ain't, oh, fair enough. They ain't sending me another $50 gift card. I don't even know if Nona's is still open in Columbia, but dagnabbit, they have great desserts. Sorry, that one still hurts. It was put in a safe place. Whatever. All right. Another thing, when you change jobs, when you're looking at new jobs, when new jobs are recruiting you, you need to check. Do you qualify for public service? Is it a nonprofit, not-for-profit, or government agency? And this is an extra step for when you switch jobs. When you leave an employer, you submit an ECF with that employer like on your last day. When you start your new employer the next Monday or after you've taken a nice 2-week vacation, take the vacation. Submit a new ECF starting with the new employer. Basically kind of like, hey, old employer, now new employer, we're good, right? Double checking with the government. And then download their responses. This is the one thing. Y'all can postpone your payments. While in residency, it's actually super easy. You can see it there. It's a mandatory medical residency forbearance. This is why when a lot of you are applying for your mortgages, they want a statement from me or from somewhere saying that you can go into forbearance and not make payments on your student loans. Helps your debt to income ratio. I strongly advised against it. That you do it. I'll fill out the form all day long for your mortgage. That's fine. We'll make that mortgage go through. But if you postpone payments while in residency, you are postponing a $400 payment or so and adding a $2,000 payment. Don't do it. If at all possible. Now, absolute emergency, sure. Okay, that's fine. Request a 1 or 2 month forbearance. But that's unlikely to happen. And with your payments and income driven plans, for the most part, you're going to be okay and be able to make them. You'll have a little bit extra money in the budget. You can move around from other places. All right. These are all the administrative forbearances that have happened. And I don't have the date of the newest one, but I have the date it ends. This is why some of y'all have balances 15 to 20, sometimes $30,000 below what they would have been otherwise. Because you haven't paid interest or accrued interest on these loans in about 2 years or more. Awesome. Never thought I'd see this happen. And this is where we get the statement that $0 payments actually count. And it extends to the other payments that we've got early on. So it's actually from the website. You can go there, take a screenshot, and add it to the CYA file. Not too shabby. Now, the average savings of $2,000 a month under the forbearance is not y'all. Y'all aren't making that much yet, but it's average for an attending. Y'all average savings is, well, it's going to be over by the time you enter repayment, so never mind. Your average savings is $0, but who cares? It still works. All right. So you see all these news articles. A lot of you nodded when I mentioned the ones that came out right back in 2017 when this first started. So you need to check who's writing that article. Is it a journalist? No offense, I know some great journalists, friends with some of them. They're idiots when it comes to student loans. They are. They don't know. Their job is to go and get information, and they don't always know the right questions to ask. They go, hey, how many people didn't get forgiveness? Oh, well, 100,000 people got denied last month. And they don't follow it up with why. So the headline is 100,000 people denied for public service loan forgiveness. And that's it. They start calling it a failed program and things like that. So is it an actual industry expert? In y'all's case, the best experts you can look to on this is the AAMC. They are the real experts. Their financial aid group, First, is spectacular in getting good information out there. There was a task force that was put out last year that came up with a PSLF infographic. I'll show it to you in just a second. Great thing. So they're the industry experts. And then you get opinion pieces. Y'all just run from these. They're entertaining. You might like to read them. Don't take valuable information from them because there is none. On public service loan forgiveness. I'm not saying on anything else, but on PSLF, there's unlikely to be any good information in the opinion piece. Also check and see what's the content. Is this a recap of old news? Are they just basically rehashing every year because they needed some extra clickbait? The same article. Like, I love how when I click on an article, it's like breaking news or whatnot. And then I read the date on the top of it. It's like 5 months old. But they're advertising it again. It's like your YouTubers kind of refresh content and put it back out there again so it starts getting new views and things like that. It looks like they're active when they're not really. Then you need to look at, are they talking about a proposed bill? Because you'll see a lot like, Senator so-and-so wants to get rid of the public service loan forgiveness. Okay. Interesting article. I'll go take a look at it. 9 times out of 10, they have just submitted a bill. 9.5 times out of 10, that bill's not even going to actually get read on the committee, let alone make it out of committee. And then of the ones that make it out of committee, very few are going to pass. So that's the next question. Is the bill even out of committee? If it comes out of committee, they think they have a chance at passing it. But even still, it's going to have to pass the Senate and the House. They're going to likely change it, and it's going to have to go through reconciliation. And then once that's done, we actually know what's going to happen. But the good news is for y'all, you will already be in repayment. Any changes that are going to happen are unlikely to affect you, like 0.01% chance that they'll affect you. All right. Want to get in on this? Contact your senators, contact AAMC. They've got a place for you to share your stories. Y'all, they don't want to hear from me. I run all the numbers, but I'm not living this. AAMC doesn't want to hear from me on this. They've got Jay Youngclass. He runs all the numbers. They don't need me. But y'all actually have a voice, even if it's not about this. Let's be honest. You guys in two weeks? No, a week and a half are gonna have MD behind your name. People listen to you. So you go talk to a senator, they're like, hey, this might be a future donor. You actually can get in the door. Future donor, I said, future donor. Besides, they don't know how many loans you have when they're like, hey, Dr. So-and-so wants to come see you. Why, yes, bring them on in. Dr. So-and-so, good to meet you. My goodness, it looks like you graduated med school yesterday. Well, maybe I did, but what's that matter? But they'll actually listen to you, y'all. Mainly because they want your money, but you're also entering, you've heard this in the rest of IPM and from your first day here, you are entering a respected class of citizenship. That your word holds weight simply by virtue of who you are now. That's on this, that's on everything. All right. This is the form you can actually go download from the AAMC. A lot of good information on it. Looks real pretty. It's like I'm working on a task force right now, and I'm like, hey, AAMC, y'all want to make this pretty like you did the PSLF thing? We just had a meeting on that yesterday. So yeah, go download it. It's good stuff. And we're going to update it every year as information comes out. Questions for me? You want me to go back to the very first slide? There you go. I don't think she even knows what she wants.
I want to know.
That one. 501c3, it's that's the section in the law that governs nonprofits and not-for-profits. So they will always be a 501c3. Yeah. Yeah, let's say you're going to Myrtle Beach. They don't qualify because they're a for-profit hospital. I can't remember if it's Brown or Morehouse. One of those is a private hospital that's for-profit. Okay. Then you're not one of the ones that'll pay zero. You'll pay based on your spouse's income for last year. Yep. That's why I try and say most of you instead of all of you. Yep. Sure. So you're saying if they extend the forbearance further, the administrative forbearance further, even if you file with the spouse, would those count? And the answer is yes. Right. Not until the forbearance ends or until your income justifies making a payment. Yep. Nope, it's automatic. If you are in repayment, they're counting it towards public service loan forgiveness, whether or not you're paying anything. Mm-hmm. Nope, I would do it as soon as possible, and then they will not draft anything, but it'll be a $0 draft. Yep. I will put it out on YouTube and send you all the link. The whole class. So look, I'm trying to get some more followers on my YouTube page. Med School Money Guy. Hello. Yeah. Go to YouTube. I'm the Med School Money Guy. It's all the recordings that we've done in these sessions and all my cooking videos too. All right. Someone else had a hand up. I don't, but it should qualify because it's still a nonprofit. So submit that certification of employment form day one. Yep. Get that response back saying, yes, it's a qualifying employer. Yep. There's also, so we've never seen this happen, but there is also a provision of the law that if you work for a for-profit entity doing public service work, it should count. I've watched the stats on that. There have only been like one approved out of a lot of applications for it. So Yeah, then you're probably good. Yep. Anything else? No. If something happens to y'all, it's still a federal consolidation, that loan still goes away. You know, whether it's, it gets so dark on this as we're closing it out, whether it's your death or a permanent disability, you know, you can get those discharged in either case. Well, you won't be doing it if you die, but someone else will be. Yep. All right. Google is such and such a nonprofit. That's how I always do it. And then if I can't find it, I ask. Because someone in this room, the hospital system is a for-profit, but the residency program is a nonprofit, so they still qualify. Yep. All right. Thank y'all. Look at that.